Hello, Latitude Nation. We are going live with the crew of Westerly right now. I have our publisher, John Arndt, on the line and Andy Schwenk along with the crew of Westerly. And I'm going to bring them into the room right now. If you have any questions, please put it into the chat. All right.
All right.
How's it going?
Hey, Andy.
Hey, welcome to Transpac 2023 race fans.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Yeah, here aboard the Westerly. We're on Port Tack, working our way up the shore and hoping for a little bit more breeze. Generally, this race starts on starboard tacking and try to clear the west end of Catalina, but this year's a little different. So we're working our way up to the north in search of wind.
In search of wind. How much wind do you have?
6, 7. About 6 or 7 true. Right now, the boat's going about 5.5, 6 knots, and then we hit a wave and slow down. We got to build it up again.
Oh,
we got a big jump.
You said you're on port tack. Where I'm looking, I'm feeling like you're on starboard tack. Are we reversed here?
Yes, there you can see. That's our driver back there, Will, and the other.
Hi, guys.
Greg Clark at the main, and Greg Taylor on the rail here with Clement and the owner, Dave, and myself, and Alec over here that made this all possible, put the boat together for us.
Hey, awesome.
Sounds great. So how was your start?
Just right. We couldn't ask for a better start. We were really fortunate. Went down the line and on starboard and flopped over at just the right time on port and cleared the fleet, and everything went our way at the start.
Sweet. So when we were looking behind you there, I didn't see any other boats. Does that mean they're all leeward?
Well, we're sitting up on the weather rail. That's a pair I'm trying to do, like those little black specks back there. Everybody's staying on board. It appears there's 2 boats on the horizon that have flopped over to starboard, and then our closest competitor right under the boom there is the other Santa Cruz 52 Triumph, and they're looking pretty tough there going up the beach.
Ah. Sounding good. Well, sounds like a good spot to be in, like a place you want to stay.
Yeah, that would be good. Stay in front of the other boats. That's our plan.
Yeah, that's the plan, right?
Yeah, nice work. So you port tacked in front of everybody.
That's right.
All right, nice work. So what's happening with the breeze? You're in 5 to 6, 7 knots right now. Is it going to pick up soon, or what's it look like?
That would be the sailor's optimistic answer to that question. Has to get windy. We don't have enough groceries to get to Hawaii at this speed.
Oh, goodness.
You'll be the trim crew getting off. All that weight in the rail will be less.
That's right.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, so it looks like a good sunny day and a good day to start. But the breeze, did the earlier starters get off in a little heavier breeze, it sounds like? Tuesday starters.
They actually had this much wind at the start, but it filled in, I think, a little quicker by evening. I think there might have had 15 or 20, but it's early for us too. We've only been sailing for an hour, so a lot can happen. Hopefully we'll get on starboard tack, get pointed at Hawaii, and I'll be looking good shortly. I think we're checking back in, in 2 days, is it?
Yeah. Saturday, 11 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So our goal is everybody cross their fingers that we'll have the big colorful sails up the spinnaker.
Yeah. And maybe you'll be 1 time zone to the west by then.
That's right.
It'll be 9 o'clock your time or 10 o'clock your time. So good. And looks like shirt sleeves weather, no foul weather gear on. You're not getting doused with cold water. All looks comfortable.
No, everybody's wearing shorts, and then we got our fancy crew shirts on, and everybody's feeling good right now.
Yeah. It's an hour in, right?
Yeah, no one's been voted off the island yet, if that's what you're saying.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, you've got 1 island to pass. Your last chance to drop someone off if you need to. Yeah. All right.
So starting the race today in a perfect condition, which we know you can't control the conditions. How long is your goal for this race?
Historically, boats that set up like we do, if we get there in under 9 days, we'll be really happy.
Okay, great.
And the very quickest boats in the race, there's some boats in the race that are starting on Saturday that could do it in, like big trimarans might do it in less than 4 days. And then the boats that are in the slower end of the fleet, some take us 14 or 15 maybe. So there's a wide variability in the boats. We're right smack in the middle.
Yeah, sounds good. You'll be maybe crossing tracks with a single-handed Transpac, which are the 15+ day boats probably, but they may be in your vicinity.
Yeah, it's always a real treat when you're on the ocean to, of course, seeing whales. We had a bunch of porpoises in the starting area, which is super fun. And then anytime you're on the ocean and get to see another boat, it really makes your day. And communicate with them and see how they're doing, and they're catching fish or everything's going their way.
Yeah, wait, now catching fish, you're not going to be towing a line while you're racing to Hawaii, are you?
We get caught.
Yeah.
A lot of boats do, probably not this boat, though. You probably get voted off the island, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that would sounds like something you're not going to be fighting a fish off the transom there. Maybe a single-handed Transpac guy might be more inclined to do that.
You bet.
Yeah, sounds good. So
yeah, well, maybe if that food doesn't go far enough, that story will change.
Yeah, exactly.
So we did have one question come in. Andy, this is for the other Andy, actually.
There he is, right there.
But I figured but maybe the crew can actually answer. So I did get a question from Kat this morning who asked, has Andy Dipple always been so handsome?
Wow. He's trying to concentrate over there. You're going to break it down.
Yeah, don't throw him off. Oh,
right.
Your video just went blank for some reason. I don't know if
they did freeze up a little. Oh, they're back over there. He's back.
Well, Andy, he just blew the camera up. That was probably it.
Oh, I thought it was a close-up of that jib you had up there. Yeah. Oh, look at.
You can see there's a sticker on the bow.
Hey, well, this is also all courtesy of Elon Musk and Starlink. This, pretty sweet online. It works.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Latitude 38 is always at the cutting edge of technology. I know that.
We're trying.
Right. Yeah, we just dropped the gaff sails and furled up the tan bark sails and got ready for high tech. We're here. So, yeah, sounds good. I hope everybody's got their sunscreen on there, Andy.
Yeah, that's something that's really changed too out here. Everybody's got these hoodies on and hats, and everybody's very sensitive about that. And that's something, keep the crew healthy, keep them from catching on. Like we got the SPF, we could walk on the surface of the sun if we wanted to.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, good. Well, we're, any sail changes in your near-time future, or you're just sailing and getting around the island and then hopefully cracking off for Hawaii?
That's exactly, you just nailed it. That's exactly right, John. We gotta sail with the wind we got. Right now, it's a upwind trip to Hawaii, but when we start easing sails, we'll start putting bigger smiles on our face.
So So when do you get to crack off? How far do you sail to get around this island?
So the Catalina is 22 miles, I think, from the starting line roundabout. And, we certainly got to go upwind to get around Catalina. And then that'll be the $64,000 question is, as you can see from the boats that started on Tuesday, there's wide variability in what people think the quickest way to Hawaii is. As you can see on a lot of those charts, they'll show the Great Circle route, and that's kind of the median. And some boats will be to the south of the Great Circle, and if you drew a straight line on the globe, it creates what they call the Great Circle route, because the charts we use are Mercator projection, which bends that straight line. So
Yeah.
the quickest line across the globe is a straight line, so that'll appear as a curved line when you're watching these trackers, and then the boats will either be generally either on that Great Circle route, which would be the straightest line, or a little south or a little north, and that'll be determined on Saturday. You'll be able to see probably what we've chosen.
I'm looking on the YB tracker right now, and I'm not seeing you out there yet. I don't know. Maybe they don't put your first position reports into an hour into the race or something.
Yeah, so it's and I'm not sure all the politics involved, but they delay the position reports 4 hours until you're within 200 miles, and the last 200 miles the tracker goes live.
Ah, right. Well, are you all using the Expedition software to get your proper routes sorted out?
A lot of boats in the fleet use that's very popular software. The technologies take a lot of pride in the decisions we make and how we get there.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah.
That's great.
And that's all TBD on how those decisions resolve in Hawaii.
There'll be a lot of, when all is said and done, there'll be a lot more said than done.
That's right. Yeah. Well, so but pretty much, you think it's going to be a rum line race or a dip south, or what's the early guessing?
Yeah, that's some years it's real easy to project that. The weather's real solid. You've got a real form. It's called the Pacific High Pressure System that forms off the coast of what we call the northeastern Pacific we're in. And when the high's formed up really solid, a lot of boats blaze right down what would be the rum line and that kind of thing. And then other years like this, there appears to be more variability in choices and that kind of thing.
So you're going to be doing a little more chasing the wind up and down because the high's not formed or in the right spot to go straight.
Some people look at it that way.
All right, Andy, how do you look? How do you look?
Yeah, how do you look at it, Andy?
Yeah, Chris Bush is our navigator, and I chased him across the ocean 2 years ago in this very race, and I'm happy he's on board with us this year.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, John jumped off. Let's get him back on here. Hold on. Technical difficulties.
Maybe that was my kid. Oh, there we're back.
Yeah, I did have a question coming from Stephanie, who probably missed the beginning of the broadcast. She asked, how long will it take you to get to Honolulu? Stephanie, Andy, and the crew hope about 9 days, but a lot will depend on the weather.
Yeah, you bet.
So Andy, so we're going to see you again on Saturday morning. Just tell our viewers a little bit about what the next, this is your first day, second day, and first 2 nights are going to look like for you guys out there. Watch schedule. What does that look like while you're racing on the Pacific?
So we have 9 people on board, and we split into 2-man teams, and these 2-man teams are 4 on, 4 off, but they're overlapped. So every 2 hours we have 2 fresh crew coming on deck every 2 hours, and then of course you want to get off to a good start. We're really pleased with the start we got, and we're really pleased with the way the boat's moving in these conditions right now. The next step is to get through the first night. It's kind of a big transition, for a lot of working people, from sitting in front of a computer and trying to earn money to get a day off to do this kind of thing, and then being out here on the boat's a lot more dynamic environment. And be careful all the time, bounce around the waves. You're heating up water for meals. You can have an accident in the galley or staggering around in the night trying to take a leak and not knowing your way around. So, the first night's super important to keep the boat moving and get the crew accustomed to putting on their gear and getting out of their bunks and all these kinds of things. Just putting your fallies on, and you're trying to put your fallies on at night, and the boat lurches and you take a spill and twist your ankle. Or so that's kind of what we're doing, is get through our first night, and then the next thing is, it's always great first sunrise when you're out on the ocean. We should be out of sight of land at that point, and that's kind of a moment that you can't see land anymore, and you're out there. And then the horizon's about 6 miles. We're about 6 feet off the water, so we can see things about 6 miles away if they're as big as we are.
So wow. Sounds great. And so what have you done just getting ready for the race itself? Like you're 9 people aboard. Have you done some other races? What's been, I know you've prepped the boat, but what about just practicing together to get ready for this?
Yeah, so the Cabo race this year, we were really, really pleased. We did 800-mile run down to Cabo and really had a good one. I think we missed winning it overall by 24 seconds. 24 seconds after 800 miles. We actually were on the stage thinking we were getting the trophy. And due to daylight savings time or something changed with the. But anyway, so we did the Cabo race. That was a great warm up, and we turned around and did the Ensenada race, and we were just up on the podium again in that race. So really pleased with our start. And then Alec Offenberger right here, sitting next to me.
Hey, Alex.
His colleague Patrick O'Brien. The two of them, it's stunning the amount of work they do on the boat and how well it turns out. It makes a huge difference having the right weapon and having it well prepared.
Got 3 years of preparation for this race.
And then of course David, he did the race once time previously on this boat, so he knew what he was getting into. He knew what he wanted to change, what needed to improve in order for us to have an opportunity to get up on the podium if everything goes our way.
That's great.
And you're aboard a Santa Cruz 52, but not a traditional Santa Cruz 52. What's new on the boat?
That's a good question, and a lot of the boats have been modified over the years. One thing that came very early on is that boats started putting sugar scoops, they used to call them, on their transoms to get a little more water line, and how those, were built to the same build. It's stunning the build quality that Billy was able to achieve building boats in a converted chicken coop in the 80s. And, and even today, his boats are looked upon as very well constructed. And so one thing they go for is a little more water line with that sugar scoop sticking out the transom. And then just like the old sailing ships, having a sprit sticking out the bow, that way you can get your sails set further away from one another, and then you can have more of a slot effect in between them. So our sprits, how long? 5-6 feet?
About 5.5.
Yeah, our sprit sticking out the front's about 5.5 feet. And then another thing they did very early on, which has continued, is lots of boats, their spinnaker poles got longer and longer. And instead of being aluminum, boats went to carbon fiber so carry bigger spinnakers. That's a sail shaped like a parachute for downwind sailing, which hopefully we'll get lots of.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. And you put a new keel on the boat too, right? Is that with a bulb and all of that, or what's underwater?
Yeah, in the sailor terms, that's your foils, your keel, and your rudder. And a lot of technology, if you think about how much, like, for example, the Boeing Dreamliner 757 and these kinds of things, how much airplane wings have changed, in our lifetime, since we were kids, flying on DC-3s and stuff like that. And so the foil technology, which we call anything that sticks down into the water, the keel, the rudder. And now some boats, there's a boat named Infinity that's in this race. It has a special board that sticks out. They call it a DSS. And it extends through the hull.
With that separate from the keel?
Correct, yeah.
Ah. What does that do for them?
Makes them speedier.
Yeah, but how's that? Is that but that's not a foil to lift them? That's maybe to keep them more upright? That's for stability?
Yeah, I think it's more the lifting, isn't it? Or the spoke.
But it doesn't. The board projects out from the leeward side of the boat.
Yeah.
And it provides upward force. So it forces the boat upright, countering the keel that you would normally experience. So it counters keel without ballast. So it can be extremely efficient.
I don't know if you can hear David there, but we say the board will extend on this particular boat, I believe, 12 feet out the leeward side. So as the boat heels, they extend it out the leeward side up to 12 feet. And then it keeps the boat from healing so it helps lift and performance. It's funny because most of these modern boats, they cant the keel out to weather when vessels that have canting keels.
Right. Yeah. Huh, interesting. So that's sort of a leeward foil to give upward pressure on the leeward side. Keep gotcha. Yep. All right. Just like the Bahama boats that have guys sitting way out on a plank.
Yeah, except
in reverse.
It's funny how things that are older do again in that.
Yeah. All right. So a good old pry that they use. I guess the Chesapeake boats do that too. They have a pry to load everybody out to weather, but they put a pry to leeward here. Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah. Hey, you want us to check that trim for you? Just show us the telltales.
I'm sure we'll get plenty of comments.
Yeah.
The fleet's generally, everybody's trying to get to the same place. So the longer the race goes on, the more the boats tend to line up because everybody, tends to be like, sailing the same wind and that kind of thing. We're getting some boats as we're working. We've been sailing for an hour and a half now, and we're starting to see the folks headed out to Catalina. A lot of starboard tackers going across our bow. Families headed out to Catalina for the 4th of July holiday.
Oh, that's awesome.
That sounds good. Yeah, good. So what? So how close to the nearest rated boats? Like, where do you rate in your class? Are you near top of the class or bottom of the class?
We're the fastest in our div, which generally most sailors would rather be the slowest in their div, in their division like div, and they can kind of go to school on the boats in front of you. It gives you a little bit of advantage maybe sometimes, but in our case, we don't have that advantage in this race. We're one of the faster boats in our division.
Yeah, and given it's a long on a short course race, you could give them some dirty air, but in this course, that's not going to be a factor.
We can see them, but it's surprising after as much as we'll actually go over the bottom. It's a 2,200 mile race, but we may sail as much as 2,500 or 2,700 miles, depending on how. But generally, it'll come down to hours. Like I said, in that cobble race, it came down to 24 seconds, which is so if we can see them, they're probably going to beat us. We got to be, I think, in the neighborhood of 3 to 10 hours ahead of the boats in our class, in a typical race. It's really hard to predict 2 weeks out from race now, but in general, it comes down. We got to beat them by several hours.
Yeah, great.
Wow, sounds good. Well, you got some fresh food aboard before you switch over to freeze dried. So what's the good meal for tonight?
Well, anything but bananas. That's the rule. Sailors don't let bananas on board, but one of our popular ones, lovely woman, puts our meals together. Judy Shits and Shits. Judy Shits and she our favorite for the first night out is always a nice beef stew and bread and with all the fixings.
That's awesome.
Sounds like a good way to start.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's kind of the fresh food's all what I call parboiled, where we just have to heat it up. It's it's not a big production. The meal times everything's already tasty. If we just don't ruin it in the process of heating it up.
Yeah. First night. Yeah, you want a good meal to start the whole gig off here. Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Andy, are we good? Any other questions or any other thoughts for our crowd?
And by the way, for those of you, that's Chris Bush in the bright yellow, and then on our competition on Triumph, there's Brendan Bush, who's a California guy, but they're not brothers.
Oh, that's funny.
They've never even met each other. Never met, but in this race they'll meet each other.
At the other end. So, and Chris is your navigator. You said you got 2-man watches and you have 9 people aboard, right? But that means one guy gets to hang out. That's Chris?
He just hangs out pretty much. No, he's one of the busier guys on board. Not only does he navigate, but he's a heck of a driver and trimmer. And we let him out of the nav station every now and then, as long as he keeps us out front.
Sounds good. Well, who's in charge of the beef stew for tonight?
That would be the handsome one over there, Mr. Dipple. Yeah. Oh. We'll all get a shot at it during this, but since he kind of is our primo never messes it up. So we don't want to mess
Yeah,
up the
well,
beef too, so put him in charge.
that'll
great.
probably make Pat really happy because not only is he handsome, he can cook.
There you go.
Got a lot of women waiting for him, like, you know.
That sounds good.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for taking some time today. Really appreciate it. We have the schedule for the next week. Of course, if something changes for you guys, we can be flexible. We sort of left the end open, just depending on what your trajectory ends up being like. So just let us know, and who knows, we might have some spontaneous live feeds from Westerly if it all aligns.
Yeah, Dave's nodding his head, so
Happy to do it.
yeah, let's see if we can get through the first 48 hours and talk to y'all on Saturday. And really thank y'all so much.
Yeah,
Of
thank
course.
you. No, really fun to be aboard with you.
Awesome.
Hey, have a great
All
day.
right, guys.
Yeah. Tune
Fair wins.
Tune in again on Saturday. All right, see you guys.
Bye, guys. Fair wins.
Bye-bye.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Okay. Okay, Latitude Nation, much for tuning in with our live feed from the crew of Westerly, Santa Cruz 52, that started the Transpac just about an hour and a half ago. We are going to continue these live feeds for the next 7 days. We'll be going live on Saturday the 1st at 11 a.m., Monday the 3rd, Wednesday the 5th, and Friday the 7th, all at 11 a.m. And if that changes, we will post it on all of our social media feeds. If you have any questions for the crew between now and then, just pop them in the comments and we will do our best to get those answered. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.